Well, hi guys, short video about this latest acquisition which turned out to be a bit of a dud and it's going to have to go back onto eBay. Lovely looking watch, Bulova Chronograph. Can't remember the exact name of it, some kind of code after Bulova. It's a huge watch, stainless steel, quartz. It's not their Accutron, it's not the tuning fork movement. I think this is a regular quartz movement, although it does say 262 kilohertz, so I'm not sure exactly what the movement is on this, but I think it's basically a quartz movement on this one. I bought this recently from eBay, very recently, and it was advertised as working, fully working, but the bracelet was missing a pin. Which one was it? I think it was this one, the pin here, which holds this one here, just here. It was missing that pin, so the bracelet wasn't connected. I've got a box of pins and I was hoping one would fit, which it has done. So once the watch arrived, first I thought, wow, quite an impressive looking watch. I could see that it was ticking. So I went ahead and took out some links so it would fit my wrist. And once I'd done that and fixed the pin that was missing, I then decided to set the time, and that's where my problem started. So I tried to pull the crown out and turn it, and it wasn't turning the hands. Pulled a little bit harder, and the whole crown came all the way out, and I wasn't pulling hard. Once the crown was out, I looked at it. I could see that the crown stem had a bend in it, and I think that was a problem. It was very difficult to find the sweet spot to turn the hands. There was something definitely going wrong. You were pulling it out. I could get the date to turn, but the hands were only turning gradually or when they wanted to. It wasn't clicking into the right position for the hands to turn. And I think that was down to the fact that the crown stem had a bend in it. I imagine someone has probably been changing the time whilst it's on their wrist. And being such a huge watch, I mean, this really is a huge watch. Please excuse my rubbish looking tape measure, but to give you an idea, I think this is 44 millimeters across. It's a huge watch. Let's have a look. Oh, hang on, let's go from the 10 centimeters because the end of my tape measure seen better days. So there you go. You can see, yeah, it's about 44 millimeters across. And that's not to the end of the crown, that's just to the end of the bezel. It's a huge watch. I'll show it on my wrist in a minute. So anyway, the crown pulled out easily, wasn't setting the time. And I thought, oh God, here we go. So I tried very gently to bend the stem straight. Now there must have been a fracture in the stem, because as soon as I did this, the stem snapped. So now, and it's in there, I don't know if you can see it, right in the middle. Where are we? I don't even want to get it out the bag, but the broken bit of stem is there. I've just stuck the crown back in. I mean, the crown goes back in, but obviously it's not going to operate the hands. So that's it. It needs a new stem, which does screw in. It screws into the crown, but this snapped after the thread, so it needs a new stem that would thread in, and then possibly this will all be up and working again. I mean, it is still, I think it's still ticking now, isn't it? It's still working, just you cannot change the obviously the hands at the moment. The chronograph is working, he says. Yeah, press that, that's going. Press it again, and to reset, press the bottom button. It's doing its thing. So yeah, no, it's working fine. Now, another reason I'm not going to muck around trying to get a crown stem, because it's a little bit out of my depth, in case there's other issues as well, is once it's on my wrist, there's no micro adjustment for this strap. So you take some links out, which I've done, and I fiddled around a little bit it was either too big or it's too small. And because of the size of the watch, when it's too big, it really is heading north on your wrist. You know, it's banging against your hand. And if it's too tight, well, then it's uncomfortable. And I'm one of these people that when I get warm, my wrist swells up. So I can't have it too tight, because once I get a bit hot, it's going to be really tight. So I'll just pause that now, show it on my 6.5 centimetre wrist. And it's a nice quality bracelet. It's got some interesting centre links that have a angled kind of chamfer to them. I don't know if you can see that. But it's huge. It's a huge watch. I mean, lovely quality. But that's a little bit snug on my wrist now. And if I put another link in it, it's going to be too loose where it just falls down the end of your wrist onto your hand. Now, to show you the size difference, 1 second. So that's a little Casio next to it. You can see the difference in size. I mean, it absolutely dwarfs that Casio watch. So the Bulova, we'll be going back onto eBay, spares and repairs. Now this is a £300 watch, brand new. So it's not a vintage watch. You can still buy this watch. So it's got the tuning fork on the crown, but I don't think it's a tuning fork mechanism in there. I could be wrong, but I think it is a regular Quartz. I'm sure someone will be able to fix this who knows what they're doing, put a new crown stem in there and get it fitted in so it's working properly. So that will be going back on eBay, spares or repairs. The seller who I bought it off, once I told them about the issue, they very kindly gave me a partial refund. They did offer a full refund, but because I'd broken the part myself, although it wasn't working correctly, I felt slightly to blame. So I just suggested a partial refund. They are happy with that. I said I'm going to put it back on eBay and hopefully I will get the rest of my money back. But that's a risk you take when you're buying a used watch. And in his defense, he's not a watch. It wasn't his watch. He is a emporium type trader selling many things, and I think he just looked at it, saw that it was working, and that was that. Hadn't tried to set the hands. So, you know, give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. But that is something to bear in mind if you've got a watch like this, or any watch. Don't try adjusting the hands by pulling out the crown whilst it's on your wrist, because that creates a lot of leverage to a very, very thin crown stem, and it can easily get bent or damaged. Always remove the watch from your wrist so you can pull that crown out in a nice straight fashion to adjust the watch. Once it's on your wrist, you know, you're trying to lever that up and pull it out, and that's where they get damaged. So yeah, someone's done that, and that's what's caused me an issue. But to be honest, it's too big for me. It's too big for me, so I'm happy for it to go. That's what it is. You know, my wrist suits a smaller type watch. This one is a Seiko 5. Now I'm probably going to sell this one as well because it's just not really my style. I like it. I'm not quite sure. I may keep it, may not. But now I've got it looking better, I might just pass this one on as well. But that fits me a lot better. It suits my wrist size a lot better. And see, immediately this looks, to me, a more sensible size for my wrist. And that one is, yeah, that one's about 35mm across, which is good for me. Up to 40 is good, over 40 not quite so good. I've got an Invicta Pro Diver, which is a 42, which it's okay. It's not as big as this, but it is a little bit on the larger size. It still looks okay, but I've come to realise a 40 really is max for me. 35 to 40 is a sweet spot. I can even get away with wearing some of the more vintage, smaller sizes because my wrist isn't huge. So it doesn't look too dinky on me. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Take care.